normally when we're talking about carbon fiber and motorcycle helmets, we're automatically thinking something around $700 plus. But what if I told you there is a forged carbon ADV helmet that looks killer, feels premium, and won't wreck your budget? That is the Sedici Duale? I don't know. Forged Carbon, and today I'm going to be reviewing it to find out if it's the next helmet you need to be checking out. I'm Chaseontwowheels. Welcome to Moto Gear Show. Ta-da! Now guys, just a quick heads up before we get into this review. I do want to let you guys know that the helmet was provided to us by Revzilla to make this review for you guys. We never accept any sort of money to do these reviews. We always just get the companies to send us the helmets so we can review them for you guys. If you guys do want to support the show, use our affiliate links in the description down below, whether you're grabbing this helmet or any gear, and that is a massive support for the show. It doesn't cost you guys anything, but it gives us a little kickback, and we massively appreciate you guys using those links. Now, speaking of getting compensated to be in videos, this video is sponsored by the beautiful people over at Breakfree, who easily make my favorite safety device for motorcycle riders. If you guys have never seen the Breakfree device before, it's just this little device that clicks onto the back of your helmet. There's like a little 3M mounting piece that you just attach to the back of your helmet. It looks like this. And the Breakfree is this super simple device, no wires, and what it has is an accelerometer inside of it, so that way when it notices that you're slowing down, whether using your brakes or your engine braking, it will...
God, it is so bright.
It will lighten up like that, letting the cars behind you or the motorcyclists behind you know that you are slowing down. This is easily one of the best safety devices for motorcycle riders, because if you use a lot of engine braking while you're riding, your brake light is not turning on. But this thing doesn't care if you're using your brakes or if you're using engine braking. It has an accelerometer in it that tells it when you are slowing down. Guys, these things are absolutely fantastic, and they also, obviously you can see how bright it is. Having this thing so bright and up high on the back of your helmet is so much more visible than the brake lights on your motorcycle. So if you guys want to grab a Breakfree, I'll have a description link down there. You can get a discount on these things. They are so integral to keeping you guys safe while you ride. Thank you, Breakfree, for sponsoring this video. So guys, as far as first impressions go, the first thing I noticed on this helmet was that forged carbon fiber. And this is the first helmet I've had that has this forged carbon fiber look, and it looks sick. Now, there's nothing wrong with the regular old carbon fiber, like this kind of style. There's nothing wrong with this, but there are so many helmets with this type of carbon fiber weave. I was actually talking to a buddy the other day about this forged carbon fiber look because I was so impressed with it. And we were sitting there talking like, carbon fiber's cool, but all carbon fiber seems to look the same. So when somebody throws like forged carbon on a helmet, it looks very unique. And because of the way that forged carbon is made, every helmet is unique because it's laid slightly differently, which is a really kind of unique factor for the look on the helmet. Now, in terms of features, it is going to have a interior drop-down sun visor, a removable peak, and a very aggressive shell shape that looks way more premium than the price is going to suggest on this helmet. So let's talk comfort. I have had multiple 7-hour plus off-road days riding in this helmet, and it has stayed comfortable the entire time. The padding on the inside feels really nice on your skin, and something I really enjoyed about this helmet is how much space you have in front of your mouth. Now, when I ordered this helmet, I ended up going with a large because after I referenced the size chart, my head was the size that needed a large. So I just went with that one, and I wear large on most other helmets. So I felt pretty confident with that. But after riding around in it, I feel like the helmet fits a little loose. So if I were to reorder the helmet, I think I would go down a size just to make it a little tighter fit. And that slight looseness of the fit is gonna come into play later in the video. Now, that extra mouth space, because of the way the helmet is shaped, is really nice and gives you plenty of open space in front of your mouth. That's gonna come in major handy later down the road when we're talking about motovlogging, which obviously I'm gonna be doing a ton of. There's plenty of space for a Cardo microphone and your microphone to motovlog with, but we'll talk more about that later in the video. I just really love having so much free space in front of my mouth. So moving into vents wise, we have one large chin vent, and then we have a central vent above the visor, as well as 3 exhaust vents in the back. Now, obviously both of those vents can be shut, and the front vent can actually shut from the front or inside the helmet, which is really nice. And the mechanisms to get those vents shut have a really good feel. Even with gloves on, like thick ADV gloves, I can still get a very positive click when I'm closing them, so I'm very confident when they're closed and open. Now, on those hotter days, if you have all the vents open, I did notice a good amount of airflow coming through the helmet, which is fantastic because it's going to get even hotter here in Georgia in the summertime. But on the flip side of that, with all that ventilation, the helmet is going to be a bit louder.
All right, we're on the highway, and my goodness gracious, it is windy, my lord.
So I do recommend you guys using earplugs, especially if you're riding with this helmet on a windier day or in a highway scenario for a long period of time. So guys, next up, let's talk about visors. And yes, I said visors on this helmet because there's multiple, but don't worry, we'll talk more detail about that in a second. So the primary clear visor on the front is solid. It has a good click and a seal when you close it. The only kind of nitpick I have with the visor opening is that the tabs to open it are sometimes a little hard to find. On the positive note, they have a tab on the left, the right, and the front, but sometimes I just can't find it. So maybe if those tabs are out a little more, it would be a little easier to find it, just throw it and pop it open. This is obviously not a huge deal, but it's something I did notice while I've been riding. Now, if you guys look here on the side of the visor mechanism, you'll see 3 little indentions, and those are the 3 locations that the visor can open. Now, after riding off-road with this helmet a lot, there's been some times where I just wanted a little more airflow, and it seems like the visor can't do that little half crack open. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but I love like just half, like not even half, just like slightly opening my visor, and it allows a ton of airflow to get into my face, especially if I'm stuck in traffic or not moving very quickly. I love doing that, and unfortunately this visor only has 3 opening positions, and none of them allow for that slight crack in the visor. So maybe in future models, I would like to see, you know, a 4th position that the visor could stay open with. I will note that that front visor is pin lock ready, which is basically a requirement for me at this point. If I'm gonna have the helmet that I'm gonna use a lot, it has to be pin lock ready. Now, luckily for me, this helmet does have an interior drop-down sun visor, which as I'm doing more of these helmet reviews, I'm noticing I really am starting to like the interior drop-down sun visor. Never was a real big fan of that until recently, but I'm really starting to like that. Now, the interior sun visor does a fantastic job of being that pair of sunglasses when you need it that's built into the helmet already. It has a mechanism on the left side of the helmet that feels really secure when you open and close it, so there's never going to be any worries about it kind of just falling down. You have to actually put some force behind it, but I end up liking that because I know for sure it's up and away or down and open and going to stay exactly where it needs to be. Now, one of the unfortunate parts about the interior sun visor is that how much it fogs up while you're riding. It fogs up so quickly and in tons of conditions that it almost makes it unusable at times. Now, the vast majority of the time, it's gonna be in cold conditions or like early in the morning. I don't know if it's like the material that that visor is made of or what, but I would really like to see if they could use some sort of like anti-fog material. Now, the front visor can obviously use pin lock, so I don't really care about the visor fogging up because if I have a pin lock installed, it's not going to fog up, but that's not going to stop that interior sun visor. So that's probably one of the worst parts, honestly, for me, of the entire helmet is how bad that interior visor fogs up. All right, so next up, let's move into aerodynamics, which for ADV helmets, this is where they typically struggle. Now, naturally with ADV helmets, they just aren't as aerodynamic as regular street motorcycle helmets. Normally they're larger, they have those big peaks, so they do have a lot of things working against them in this department. Now guys, I want to preface this with one of the days that I tested this helmet was probably one of the top 3 windiest days I've ever experienced riding a motorcycle. And during that day while riding in this helmet, I had a crosswind come out of nowhere, and it legit felt like it was going to rip this helmet off of my head. Had I not had the strap tightened like I always do, it would have literally ripped it off my head. Now, with ADV helmets in general, they are going to be catching more wind with their larger size and those peaks, but this day was specifically bad because I was sitting upright on my Tenere 700. Now, on this day of riding, I was riding with a buddy and we were complaining the entire time of like, we didn't know if we had ever experienced wind this bad in Georgia. And if you mix that bad wind, I was on an upright body position motorcycle that didn't have a lot of wind protection. And like I told you guys earlier, the helmet fit a little loose. It was probably one of the most serious wind situations I ever experienced, but I'm not putting all of that on the helmet. I'm definitely blaming the conditions, but I just want to give you guys an example of what happened to me while riding in this helmet in super windy conditions so you can assess for yourself if that's something you need to be wary of. Now guys, I'm obviously not going to judge a helmet off of a freak weather day. That's just something that happened. But luckily I spent tons of miles on this helmet riding on the street on normal days and riding off-road where we didn't have crazy wind. And I can say there's a little bit of head pulling when you're going something at highway speeds and a little bit of head bobbling. So there's definitely some improvements to be made in the aerodynamics department, especially if you guys are looking at doing commuting or some long days on the highway. That being said, any kind of relaxed ADV riding or dual sport riding, especially under highway speeds, you guys are gonna be totally manageable with the wind with no problems. Now, one of the real highlights of this helmet is going to be the build quality for the price that you're paying. Not only are you guys going to be getting a forged carbon fiber helmet for under $400, but the build quality massively surprised me. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, it's not that awry level, but all the little touch points have a really good feel. Just using the helmet, closing things, opening things, popping things out, everything feels really solid and really well put together. All the vents click open and close very securely, and the padding on the inside is very comfortable. I can remember every one of those 7+ hour days getting back and feeling that this is one of the most comfortable helmets that I have in the garage right now. Now, of course, it is a helmet, so let's talk safety. We have DOT and ECE 2206 certified, so just because you're coming in at a good price does not mean you're sacrificing safety. Also, a cool little bonus that this helmet has with it is a GoPro style camera mount at the top of the visor. If you're interested in recording your videos, it's literally just built into the visor, which is pretty freaking cool. Alright, let's talk comms, because you guys know there is no shot that I'm riding any motorcycle for 7+ hours without my cardo so I can listen to music. So the install on this helmet is super smooth. The ear areas have those little cavities to allow plenty of space for the speakers, and there's plenty of room around the helmet to tuck in wires, and as you guys can see, you can get a super clean cardo setup on this helmet. Also, if you guys are running a Cardo Pack Talk Pro, there is literally the perfect amount of space on the side of the helmet to get a really good adhesion of the base for the Cardo Pack Talk Pro. And the thing that's even better than that is look how tucked in the wires are underneath the base station for the Cardo. I love how clean the setup is, especially if I'm going to be going off-road. I'm going to be taking the helmet on and off. The last thing I would want is little wires hanging to get caught on a tree limb or literally anything. I love how clean this setup is. Now, as far as motovlogging on this helmet, I have really enjoyed it. What I've mostly been using is my clamp-on motovlog helmet setup. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I'll have a link in the description down below, but it's basically a setup that you can just clamp onto any helmet you want. So that setup has been working super well on this helmet. It turns out the front curve of the helmet actually fits in perfectly with the clamp of the helmet thing, so it ends up being really secure. This is also where the front of the helmet being a little more open is really nice because there's plenty of space for the clamp and for a microphone. And just to bring Breakfree back into this, since I've been using my Breakfree on this helmet, if you use that clamp-on motovlog helmet setup and a Breakfree, it actually puts weight on the front and the rear of the helmet that kind of balance each other out. So super little helpful thing there. Now, as far as audio in the helmet, I've been using the DJI Mic 2, and I position it right on the right side by my cheek pad. This is another one of those areas where having that extra space in the front of your mouth allows your voice to, I guess, sound better or something like that, because I've really been happy with the audio out of the Mic 2 using this helmet. So that's probably why you guys notice I end up motovlogging with this helmet quite a bit. Overall, I highly recommend this helmet if you're looking to start motovlogging. Alright, so where does the Sedici Duale Forged Carbon sit in the market? Let's talk price and weight. Now, the helmet's going to come in at a price tag of $349, which is going to make it perfectly mid-tier for the ADV category with a weight of 3.5 pounds. Now, for comparison, First up, you got the Scorpion EXO AT960 coming in at a price tag around $280 and a weight of 3.8 pounds. Next is the Bell MX9 Adventure with MIPS. That's going to come in with a price tag of around $250 and a weight of 3.5 pounds. Next up on the more premium side, and a helmet I've actually done a review on, is the Arai XT5. That's going to come in at a price tag of around 740 pounds with a weight of 3.66 pounds. And finally, we have the Shoei Hornet X9 coming at a price tag of around $680 and a weight of 3.9 pounds. Now with the Sedici, you're getting that lightweight forged carbon and that Kevlar shell, which is normally something that's reserved for the higher cost helmets. I will note that Sedici does offer this helmet in a non-carbon fiber model. It's just the Sedici Duale ADV helmet. It comes at a price of $249 with a weight of 3.9. Now, you're gonna be able to get all the premium features that the forged carbon fiber one has, but it's not gonna be as light and it's not gonna have that premium carbon fiber look, but it gets you all the features at a lower price. So if you're looking to save some cash, you can definitely go with that model. All that being said, the forged carbon fiber model is still punching way above its class. Alright guys, I think that touches on all the pieces of this helmet that you guys are looking for, so let's see how it fares with a chase score. For comfort, I'm giving this thing a 9 out of 10. There's not too many helmets out there that I can ride on a 7+ hour ride day and still be that comfortable. Ventilation wise, I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10. Even on those hotter days, that airflow was solid. Now for noise level, I do gotta give it a 6 out of 10. With all of that ventilation does come noise, especially at highway speeds, so earplugs are definitely recommended. Visibility wise, I'm gonna give this thing an 8 out of 10. It's got a pretty decent field of view and it has that awesome distortion-free visor. Now, weight-wise, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10 as you would expect for a carbon fiber helmet. It was super light and offered no fatigue throughout an entire day, even with that Breakfree and my cameras installed on it. Now for comm setup, this thing is getting a 9 out of 10. It's got the speaker cavities, there's plenty of routing for wires that don't affect the feel of the helmet at all, and there's plenty of space for mounting the cardo on the side. Not much more you can ask for. Now for motovlog setup, I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10 with plenty of space in the front of the helmet. I love the ability to place your microphone wherever you need to there, and the curvature of the front of the helmet worked out perfectly with my clamp on motovlog setup, so really happy with that. Now features wise, I'm giving this thing an 8 out of 10. It's got the drop down sun visor, it's got the pin lock ready shield, and it has the GoPro attachment on the top. That's a lot of cool stuff. Now for value for money, this thing's getting a 9 out of 10. You get forged carbon fiber with all the other features that this helmet has for that price? That's hard to beat. Now for durability and build quality, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. This thing feels overall really solid, but has a couple little places that I think it could be improved on, which is why I knocked off those 2 points. So guys, if we add up all of those sections, that's gonna give us a total chase score of 82.5 out of 100. So guys, if you're looking for an ADV helmet that's not gonna crush your budget, but still offer you those features, that comfort, and that style, I can definitely recommend you guys check out the Sedici Duale Forged Carbon. I would personally choose the Forged Carbon over the normal model, not necessarily because of the weight, but just because I love the look of that Forged Carbon. Plus, if you're like me, you're gonna install the Breakfree on your helmet, you're gonna have cameras on the front, you're gonna be adding weight, so starting off with a lighter helmet is actually gonna be more helpful. Honestly, with how comfortable this helmet is and how well it works for motovlogging, I could easily see myself going back and using this helmet even after this review is done. Guys, make sure you hit that like button if you enjoyed this video and share this video out with somebody that you think needs a new helmet. And actually, if you're riding around in one of these, let us know how it's holding up in the comments down below. I love getting y'all's opinions on how these helmets are holding up for y'all. Also, don't forget the links in the description down below are affiliate links, and they massively help us and don't cost you guys anything, and that's how we even run this show. Thank you, Breakfree, for sponsoring this video. You guys go out there and ride safe. I'm Chaseontwowheels. This is Moto Gear Show, and I'll see you on the next one. Later. Hold on. It's time for, hold on, I'm getting there. It's time for this video to stop. I feel great about that, 'cause it's stopping the video.